Hi, I'm Beth, creator of dryitcanit.com, and today I want to talk about dehydrating oatmeal. Now I like steel cut oatmeal, but if you're a fan of steel cut oatmeal, you know it takes a while to cook in the morning, and sometimes I just don't have the time. If you're a camper or a backpacker, or maybe you're traveling, this is a great way to have a hearty breakfast with you ready to go, where really you're just going to add water on the back end. So to dehydrate oatmeal, whether it's steel cut or the instant oatmeal, the 3-minute kind, basically cook your oatmeal. Don't add anything to the oatmeal other than water to cook it in. Don't use milk. And you can add a pinch of salt if you want, but don't add any other fruit or anything else. So you're really looking at water, oatmeal, and maybe a little bit of salt. So what you're going to do is, if you're dehydrating, you have racks, but you also will have, or you'll need to buy to get some kind of a tray. Now this is a plastic tray that has a little bit of a lip on it. You probably could use parchment paper if you create some kind of a lip on it, maybe with a paper clip or a piece of tape. Check your dehydrator directions to see if that's a safe option for you. But basically what you're going to do is you're simply going to take your oatmeal and you're going to spread it as evenly as you can on your tray. These are generally referred to as fruit trays, or they're meant to make fruit snacks or to hold some kind of a liquid that you're going to dehydrate. And basically you just want to put it on the tray and spread it out. Definitely don't want it thicker than a 1/4 inch. If you can get it a little bit thinner than that, that's good. I tend to want to make it a little bit thinner in the middle of the tray, simply because the middle of the tray always takes longer to dehydrate. So just get a spatula, spread it out as smooth as you can, get as much on the tray as you can. Simply, well, and by as much I mean cover the tray with it so that you're not having to use more trays than you might have on hand. But go ahead and just spread it out like so. And once you have it spread fairly evenly, no thicker than a 1/4 inch, make sure I have my edges good, I'm ready to go and I can put that in my dehydrator. Now as far as temperature, if I was dehydrating just the oatmeal, I would use 140 degrees and let it go fairly quickly. But today, because I'm also dehydrating some vegetables, I'm just putting a couple trays of oatmeal in with the vegetables, so I'm going to start dehydrating that at 125 degrees. When my vegetables are done, I'll turn up my temperature on the dehydrator a little bit just to speed this up. What's going to happen is the oatmeal is going to make sheets of oatmeal, so to speak. And those sheets, when they get dry enough that I can pick them up, and that takes a while because of the center, then I usually will take them up and take them off and then flip them over, and at that point I can put them on the rack and take them off the tray. But I want to make sure that my oatmeal is really dry before I take it off. Once this is dehydrated, which because it's late in the day here, will be overnight, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how I take the oatmeal and take it and package it. I do find with oatmeal it gets kind of a solid sheet and clumpy, and I like to have those clumps broken up, so I actually will put them in a bag and use a mallet usually to break that up. But you don't have to do that. That's just something that's my personal preference. So again, you can see I created another tray. I'm going to put it in there. The oatmeal is going to take 10 to 15, maybe 16 hours to dehydrate, but it really is going to make for a healthy, easy to grab breakfast, and I'm going to be excited to show you tomorrow what that looks like and how I package it up. So stay tuned for the second part. Okay, so the steel cut oatmeal is dry. After about 5.5 hours, I took it off the plain sheets and was able to flip it over and put it on some screen sheets to finish drying. And what I have is 3 sheets of steel cut oatmeal. And the next step is to take and break it down. You can see it's very crispy. So this will get all broken down and put into a jar and then conditioned for 4 to 7 days before I package it. All right, I showed you how the steel cut oatmeal basically dehydrated into sheets and how I break it down. But I don't want to pack it this way in the end, simply because the sharp edges are going to poke a hole eventually in any kind of a vacuum sealed bag that I'm going to need, or that I like to store them in. So what I do is I place my pieces into a Ziploc bag, leaving maybe at an inch or so for air escape. And then I just use the sides of a mallet and pound them down till I have individual grains, so to speak. So again, it's pretty much powder. I don't know if you can see that when I'm all done. And then I will empty that in there and I will condition that for the 4 to 7 days. Something like this, typically I will usually do just 4 days. So you can kind of see where I have fine grains of this. It's a step that it technically isn't necessary. It really depends how you want to store your oatmeal. I like to store it when I'm done. I like to package it in individual meals, and I will add powdered milk to it. I'll add cinnamon to it. I'll add some kind of a fruit to it. It can add nuts to it, and I'm going to demonstrate that once this is all conditioned. So I'm going to go ahead and take my other sheets, and I'm going to pound those down. I'm going to condition this for 4 days, and then I'll be back to show you how I package that for the very end. The steel cut oatmeal has been cooked, dehydrated, and conditioned. So I'm going to show you now how I prepare it and how I store it. Now, the most common thing I do is I usually put some in a bowl the night before. I add my liquid, milk, water, whatever you want to do, and I put it in like overnight oats. And then in the morning, I just heat it up and I'm good to go. The other way to do it is to add whatever portion you want and then to add hot water, which is what I did here. And I did this about 10 minutes ago. And I added equal amounts, just a little bit actually more than equal amounts of the oatmeal and the water. Now, I also have dehydrated fruit in this, so I needed a little bit more water than I normally would use. But the texture is really good, and it's definitely ready to eat. The dehydrated steel cut oats are going to have a consistency like grape nut cereal, if you've ever had that. Once these are rehydrated, they're pretty much like steel cut oats. Mine sat for 10 minutes and they're slightly chewy, which is how I like it. If you let them sit overnight, they'll be a little bit chewy if you put a little bit less liquid in it, and they'll be smoother if you put a little bit more liquid. Easiest way to store these, obviously, is just put them in a mason jar or a Mylar bag or any kind of a moisture-proof container. Put the lid on and you're good to go. Instant oatmeal, really. Oatmeal, water, or milk, done. What I like to do is I like to package mine in servings that I can take with me on the go, or that they're already portioned. And what you might be able to see here is layers. I like to flavor my oatmeal ahead of time. So what I have is cinnamon, powdered milk, dehydrated apple, and then my oatmeal, and then I vacuum seal the bags individually. This works out really well, and the trick to this is to put, if you're using powders or spices, put those in the bag first so that when you're vacuum sealing your bag, you're not sucking those up. So I added my cinnamon, then my powdered milk, then my dehydrated apples, then the steel cut oatmeal. This is a great tip for camping or backpacking. You have a meal ready to go. So I did my oatmeal today, adding the hot water. It's good, it's tasty. Normally I would do it in a bowl, but I wanted you to be able to see it. But if you like steel cut oatmeal and you want to have something really ready to go that becomes instant, this is the way to go. So I hope you found this video helpful. Thumbs up is always appreciated. Please share the video, and most importantly, subscribe to my channel for more original recipes and tips on canning and dehydrating. In the meantime, happy dehydrating and happy canning. Thanks for watching.